Hi, welcome to Mat 100. In this lesson, which is section 6.4, beginning on 383, we're going to discuss exponents, square roots, order of operations. And I'm recommending that you use this calculator, TI-30X2S, because on different calculators, you are going to use different keys, but this is a fairly reasonable calculator. We use it for a lot of our courses, and I think it would be very helpful. So let's get started. Okay, when you have a number that's raised to a power or an exponent, you're going to have something like this. You're going to have a number. This is a large number is going to be called the base, and the small number up here, maybe a 3, is going to be the exponent. We could call it exponent, or sometimes we refer to it as the power. So sometimes it depends. They both mean the same thing. So you have a base and you have an exponent. And what this means is that you're taking the number 5, the base, and you're multiplying that base times itself 3 times. That's what this 3 means. That we're multiplying that base times itself 3 times. So we could do that on our calculator. We could take 5 times 5 times 5 like that and get 125. Or another way we can do it is we can take the base 5, enter it, hit the up arrow. On some calculators, this is going to be a y to the x power. You have something like x to the y or y to the x. It looks something like this, or y to the x. Some calculators like Casio might have that key. Anyhow, you're going to hit that key. In this case, we're going to hit the up arrow. And then we're going to hit our power, our exponent. And you would do the same thing here. You'd hit that key and then the exponent. What this is saying is going to take 5, raise it to the third power, and then we'll hit equal. And you can see, so we want to hit the enter key. And we're going to get 125. So these would be the keystroke that you would use. 5, up arrow, 3, enter. And you get your answer, or equal. Okay, so let's try another one of those. Let's see if we can do one. Suppose we had 4 to the 5th. 4. Now I could clear this out, or I don't have to, but I probably safer to always clear it. 4 raised to 5th. Has to be in that order. Enter. 1024. That's the same thing as multiplying 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. We would come up with the same number. Okay, so pretty simple, huh? Not too bad. Now, let's try a problem like this. Let's suppose we have a negative 2, like this, and we want to raise it to the third power. Let me see what happens here. Oh, let's raise it to the 4th power. Okay, let's try it. Now, you don't want to hit the minus sign. You want to hit the negative sign. 2 raised to the 4th. Negative 16. But I thought a negative 2 times a negative 2 times a negative 2 times a negative 2 is positive 16. So what's going on here? Well, what's going on here is that they're assuming that you want to do 2 to the 4th and put a negative sign in front. If you want this to be a negative number, you need to put it in the parentheses, then raise it to. That will give you this. What you were doing is you were taking, if you think of it this way, that's a negative 1 times 2 to the fourth. 2 to the fourth is 16 times negative 1 is negative 16. Now let's try putting this in the parentheses. Now, one thing you can do on this calculator is you could go up and you can hit second and insert a parentheses. Then you can go to the end of this and hit second, insert the other parentheses. Or you could just retype it, See how that came out a positive 16 now? So that's what it's thinking. So if you have a negative number and you want to raise it to the fourth power, it needs to be in a parentheses. Otherwise, it's not going to do what you want it to do. Okay, so that's an important discovery. So let's calculate this one out and see what we get. Maybe the problem is written that way. This should come out a positive 8. Let's see if we get that. So to do this, we're going to hit the bottom key right here. I don't know if you can see that very well. Let me bring it up. See how that has a negative? Going to hit that. Then we're going to hit parentheses. Hit the negative again. Hit the 2. Hit the parentheses. Always want to, if you start a parentheses, you need to close it. Raise to the what? Third. Bing. 8. Same. So the calculator could do all the work for you pretty much, but you have to have kind of a basic idea what the answer should be. In the back of your mind, you're thinking, okay, 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. So you want to have an idea in the back of your mind what the answer should be. Don't just count on the calculator. Next thing we're going to talk about is order of operation. Order of operation is very important. Order of operation is the way we do the problem all over the whole world. Everybody does it the same way. Every calculator calculates it the same way. That's why math is a universal language. I've had students from different countries, Saudi Arabia, Brazil, all over. And sometimes English was not their main language. It was difficult for them. And yet we could communicate because no matter where they went, the order of operation is always the same. So here's how we do it. A little saying that we can remember is, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Kind of a famous way to kind of remember it. So the P and the E mean parentheses and exponents. Kind of using symbols here. Multiplication and division means, my dear means multiplication and division. And Aunt Sally means add, subtract. So order of operation means that we do certain things first in a problem. Now, we could enter the whole equation, or it's not really an equation, it's an expression, because an equation has to have an equal sign. But this is an expression. We can enter the whole expression into the calculator. And because this is a scientific calculator, and that's why I like this one, it's going to accept it just the way it's written. So that makes it a lot easier if you use this calculator. And I'll demonstrate that in a little bit. Okay, how do you know which one to do first? There's kind of a tie between these two. So if you have a parentheses and you have the power outside, you're going to have to do the parentheses first. If you have the power inside, then you're going to do the power first and then the parentheses. Now, multiplication and division we do from left to right. Left to right. That means whatever comes first, we do first. You could do division before multiplication as long as it comes first. First one, first come, first served. Okay, between multiplication and division. Then we go, after we finish that, we go down to the next level, add and subtract, first come, first serve. If minus comes first, we do that. If addition comes first, we do that. So it's first come, first served. Now, you can't do addition before you do multiplication. You have to go down these tiers. This is tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So let's take a look at these. First come, first served. All right, let's try one and see if we can do it. Here we have a problem. 12 plus 54 divide by 3 squared. Okay, in your mind, it says put those together. It's a lot easier, 66. No, don't do that. We have to go in the order. We look for parentheses and powers. So I see a power here. We're going to do that first. 12 plus 54 divided by 3 times 3. I don't need my calculator for that. 9. 3 squared, 3 times 3. 2 3s. Okay, so we finished tier 1. Now we're going to go to tier 2, which says do all multiplications and divisions. So we're going to do this division next. 12 plus 6. And then finally, the last thing we do is any additions or subtractions, tier 3, 18. So let me grab a little pen here. First thing we did was the powers. Then we did the division. Then finally, we did the addition. Notice we're kind of going from the back to the front, kind of doing it backwards. Well, we derived algebra. Algebra means algebra. And it was from the Middle East. And then those countries, they read from right to left. They don't really read left to right like we do. They read just the opposite. China, they start at the bottom and work up the page. So not every country does everything the same way we do it. And we're kind of used to our way of doing it. But in different countries. Now, let's see if I put this into my calculator just the way it was written. Now, this isn't going to work on every calculator because it depends on their formats and stuff. But on this one, it will work. Divide by 3 raised to the second power. So 12 plus 54, divide, it shows this symbol, 3 raised to the second power, 18. See, and that's the same answer we got. If you're squaring something on this calculator, by the way, if you want to square something in a hurry, you can hit 3 and the x squared key. And that will square it. See how it puts a little 2 for the power, and then it squares it off. So you can do it that way, but it only works if you want to square a number. If you want to raise it to a higher power. Now, I saw at Walmart, they have the TI-30X, but not the 2S. The 30X is good, but it doesn't do quite the same thing that this one will do. And it doesn't do it in the same order. It's not exactly the same. I don't know if it has these keys here that you can go up and down. And so I can go back up here and I can change this number to a 4 and I can hit equal. I can do a lot of things with these keys. I'm not sure that the 30X has those, or it works a little bit differently. All right, let's try another one here. Let me try this one. 6 plus 3 squared. Okay. Before you add, you have to do the power. Okay. Addition is like addition and subtraction are the lowest thing on the totem pole. The highest is powers in parentheses. So this would be 6 plus 3 squared is 9. 6 plus 9, 15. Okay. Here's another interesting problem. 24 divided by 6 cubed. Okay. Now, normally we would do the power before we do this division. But in order to get it, we need a number to raise to that power. We do have to do this division first. So this would be 4 raised to the third power. So I'm going to hit 4 raised to the third power. I can't hit my x squared key. It's not going to help me. 64. Okay, let's try a harder one. I'm just going to make this one up. All right, looks kind of hard, huh? Okay, now our mind is geared when we see an addition, we want to go out here and just add that together and say 8 and make this a 6 and square. No, no. You must do the parentheses and multiplication first. Parentheses and powers first, I should say. So the 5 stays, the plus sign stays, the 3 stays. Now, before I can do this power, I need to do this parentheses. So I'm going to put times 6 squared. So I am going to add these together to find out what's in that parentheses. Then I'm going to do what? Power. So I'm not going to add the 5 and the 3. This is going to be times 6 times 6, 36. Okay, now you're thinking 8 times 36. No, you must do your multiplication next. 3 times 36. Whoa. 3 times 36. 108. So I never really add this 5 and 3 together. Now, this might seem kind of weird to do it this way, but this is how it's done all the time. 113. Now, let's check it on our calculator. You should be able to do this without the calculator. The calculator is good to check, but you want to know how do you do this if you don't have a calculator. 5 plus 3, parentheses, 2 plus 4. Oops, sorry, kind of got ahead of myself there. Parentheses, raised to the second power. I could hit x squared or get used to using the raised power. Okay, that's your expression written on the computer. Okay, let's see what it gives us. Just hit that enter. 113. Same thing we had. See, it's not adding the 5 and 3. What happens if we add the 5 and 3? We get 8, 6 squared, 6 squared, 36. We get 8 times 36, 288. You see, you're not going to get the right answer. You don't want to do it that way. Okay, so very important. I think you got to know how to do all this stuff. Calculator is a very important tool. What you want to try is these problems on 386. They have the answers worked out. Now let's look at example 7 here in the book. Here we have an interesting 1 over 2 to the 8th minus 1 times 10 squared. Okay. We could do it a couple of different ways, but If we just use the calculator, because this one's kind of hard, let's see what happens. Sometimes you want to be a little cautious about this, but I'm going to put it in the parentheses and start off. Parentheses 1 divide by, well, let's do it this way instead. Let's put the 1 down first. Hit divide. And we want to divide by this whole expression. So let's put that expression in the parentheses. Divide by, because I'm afraid it might just divide this and then not know what we're talking about. 2 raised to the 8th minus 1. Now here we don't want to hit the negative. We want to hit actually minus 1, parentheses. Now we're going to multiply that by 10 to the second. Raised to the second. So I put it all into my calculator. I hit enter and I get 0.392156863. Okay, well, I don't want to write out that long answer. So what do they say? Round to 3 decimal places. What does round mean? Round means we look 1, 2, 3 decimals. The question is, should this stay at 9 or should I raise it up to, instead of this being 29, should I raise it to 30? Well, the number behind it is pretty darn small. It's a 1. So it's saying keep it the same, 0.329. So we would round it. Now, it's not an exact answer, so we put kind of wavy lines. It means approximately. You see? So I probably would use a calculator on this one, but I would also probably put this in the parentheses because, if it's a whole expression underneath this parentheses, under the division sign, I want to make sure I make use of that. Okay, the last thing we want to talk about is radicals. Now, on some calculators, even the cheapest ones, it's sometimes pretty easy. You just hit the number and then hit the square root key. On this one, it's a little bit more difficult. Okay, if I want to take the square root of 81, now what happens here is I've got the answer, and I want to know what did I multiply times itself to get 81. I have 81. But I want to know what was this is called square root. I've got the square, but I want to know what the root is. What's the root number that gave me that? 9 squared gave me 81. The root number or the root base was 9, and that's what I'm trying to find. Now, I might have known that, but if I didn't, I want to use my calculator. So I'm going to hit, and this one is a little bit more difficult. I'm going to hit second x squared. Second's at the very top. Let me go over that again. Bring it up here so you can see. I'm going to hit second. This key right here. You can even see it down here. It says second. And then I'm going to hit x squared. See how it looks like a radical sign? Now I'm going to put in the 81. Parentheses, finish the parentheses, and then just simply hit equal. Second, x squared. The display should look like this. Then you're going to put in a 9. Then you're going to put in a parentheses, equals. So those are the things we did. Second, x squared, 9, parentheses, equals. If you forget this parentheses here, it still work, but on more complicated problems, you might make a mistake. Let's try a harder one. How about 760? Okay, clear. Second, x squared, 760, parentheses, equals. Okay, so then it might tell you how many places. It says 3 places, 27.578, 27.568. I don't know what I said. Now, this is an approximate answer. It's not exact because it keeps on going. So when we take these kind of square roots, they're called irrational numbers because they're not exact. This is an exact answer. That's rational. Rational means it's exact. And irrational means it's approximate. But we still can get a pretty good answer out. Pretty hard to do in your head. There are some formulas. So we're going to try some nifty little ones here on page 391 and kind of wrap it up. Let's see if we can do some. Now we're trying one more thing. Let's try just a few problems here. Okay, here's 100 minus the square root of 100. So that would be 100. And again, we're going to do this first because we got to figure out what it is. What is the square root of 100? Do you know? You can use your calculator, but it should be 10. 10 times 10 is 100 now. This would be the square, and this is the root number that gave you that. So the answer should be 90. Okay, here's one that's pretty hard. I'm going to do this without a calculator, and then I'm going to do it with a calculator. So what we're going to do is we're going to calculate the numerator, and then we're going to divide it by the denominator. So 4 squared is 16 minus 6 over 3. Then I'm going to subtract these. That would be 10 divided by 3. Should come out 3.333. It just keeps on repeating. So we could call it 3.3 repeating. Now I'm going to try with the calculator to see if I come up with the same thing. 4 squared minus square root of 36 second x squared 36. And what I might do on this one is hit the equal sign here. See, and that's what we had, the 10, and then hit the divide 3 to make sure I did all that and did it correctly. You see, we come up with the same answer. All right. Can we do another pretty hard one? Let's see if we get to this one. So this is 49 minus 3 squared. Let's do that right away. 9 and times the square root of 4. This means times if there's nothing between them. So again, your mind is saying 49 minus 9 is 40 times 2 is 8, 80. Now we have to do the multiplication before we do the subtraction. Order of operation. Then we can subtract. See, it'll make a difference. All right, let's see if we can do these problems. I think I wrote some on a sheet of paper if I can find it. Bingo. Can you do these? Let's find out. 2 to the 4th. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 should be 16, but let's double check it. 2. See, now I got corded this, but I didn't do a great job. So make sure. 2 raised to the 4th, 16. Negative 2 to the 3rd, it has a parenthesis, so we want to make sure we keep the parentheses. Negative 2, oops, there, what am I doing? Negative 2, let's go over it. Raised to the 3rd, negative 8. Here's one. What about 6 to the 0? Let's try it on a calculator. 6 raised to the 0 power. What do you think the answer is going to be? Most people would say 0, 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Doesn't matter what the number is. Doesn't even matter if I have a number. It's always 1. Anything to the 0 power is 1. Anything to the power of 1 is itself. So 2 important concepts. Anything to the 0 power is automatically 1. Don't ask me why. Later on you'll find out. And you wish you didn't ask. What about this one? Power first or division? We have to do the division. Then we have to square it. 7 times 7, 49. Okay, how about this one? I've got to do it off to the side here. So I'm going to scan the problem to zip, and I'm going to do all the powers first. So I'm going to figure out 5 to the second should be 25. Minus, I use a calculator, but I don't need to use it extensively for something simple. But 3 to the fourth, maybe yes. 3 raised to the fourth, 81. Now what? Okay, so we went to tier 1 and we did the powers. Now we go to tier 2, multiplication and division. So we are going to multiply this first. Kind of taking it out of order, I'm sorry. 18 plus 100 minus 81. Now, addition and subtraction are equal in power. We do whatever comes first. First come, first served. We're in tier 3. So in this case, addition comes first. We're going to add these. That'll give me 118. And then I'm going to subtract the 81. And 118 minus 81 is 37. There's only one answer to this problem, and that's what you're looking for, that one answer. So we did the powers first, then we did this multiplication, then we did the addition, and then the subtraction. It has to be done in that order, order of operation. All right, so we've got a couple more here. Let's do them real quick. We can even do something really weird like this. Okay, so we're going to hit, remember how to do this? Second, x squared, 32.4. And let's say you forgot the parentheses. It'll still work. Round it off 2 places, let's say. Usually we go 2 places, 5.69. What about this one? We're going to put in the 3 first. Going to hit second, x squared. See, I don't have to put a times or anything in there. 150 parentheses equals 36.74. What about 92.5? Second? No. Second, x squared. 92.5. Double check it. Look at your display. 9.62. I'm going to round it up. See, the number behind the 1 is right here. The number behind the 1 is a big number, so we round up. Okay, here's a strange one. Well, what I might do is calculate this out first. 25 minus 9 to the powers. Oh, it's 2 to the 5th. Ooh, I was thinking 5 to the 2nd. Let's see what 2 to the 5th is. 2 raised to the 5th. 32. Let's try this again. Okay. Now, at this point, you could enter it in that way, but I'm going to figure out what 32 minus 9 is. 23. And that's no, 25 would be a perfect square, so I'm going to hit second. X squared 23. And I'm going to round this off, okay, to two places, see how it's 4.79. Think of this as 79, and I want to raise it up to 80, 4.80. So what this is saying, if I took 4.79 times 4.79 or 4.80 times 4.80, I should get a number 4.8. That's pretty close to 23. You see, and it is. Look at how close that is. So 4.8 times 4.8. All right, I hope you enjoyed it. Try some of these problems.